If the St. Louis Cardinals decide to move closer Ryan Helsley for financial reasons, what could some of those trade packages look like? Let's go over a few today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor born and raised in the Lou, but a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio, and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and interact with us, and hit that notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. This episode brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. So quickly, apologies for not being able to put something out on Monday. A little bit under the weather, trying to get over it. If you could tell, I'm a little stuffed up and stuff today. So apologies for that. But I want to talk about some stuff today. I'm feeling well enough to talk a little bit about Ryan Helsley. You know, trimming payroll is something that the Cardinals, they intend to do. And there's still no definitive updates on how low things are going to go, although reports, and this is something that I found very eye-opening and I thought was like, okay, well, maybe things aren't quite as bad as we're making it out to be, was John Mozeliak saying, I'm not anticipating any big contracts going yet. We need to get a little guidance on what our revenues are going to look like. When you think about the trading market in general, that starts as we enter post-World Series. There are some players that I think still have some value here from a leadership standpoint and also from a competitive standpoint. So it might not be, and they've never used the words fire sale or anything like that, and I don't expect it to be such. We just expected, maybe a couple of guys that you've been banking on the last couple of years to be some of those names that get moved out just because they make a decent amount of money. We've mentioned the elimination of contracts for Paul Goldschmidt, Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, Andrew Kittredge, Akina Middleton as a good starting point. You don't have to trade any of those guys. You just don't do anything. You just let them go. There's also the contracts of Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz that could be addressed as well. Some overpaid pitchers right there that if you can move them off the books, at least some of their money, then it's something you probably look into. One person who is up for a raise, though, is closer Ryan Helsley, and he's up for a significant raise, right? Made $3.8 million this past season, is certainly going to command more in his final arbitration year before hitting free agency after 2025. There was a report from Sports Illustrated that SpotRack has him projected to receive a 6-year deal worth $81.6 million, which is $13.6 million annually. And if that proves to be a little rich for the Cardinals, then trading him is an obvious option. Now, there are a lot of reasons to want to keep Ryan Helsley. All right. I mean, it's not like we dislike Ryan Helsley. So we're going to go through the good and the bad, why we want to keep him, why we wouldn't. All right. Here are some reasons why you want to keep Ryan Helsley. First off, we love the guy. All right. Seems to be a great clubhouse guy. People enjoy being around him. He's got a cool entrance, which is always neat at Busch Stadium. Homegrown talent as well, something that the organization can be proud of when there's been so much, bad vibes about homegrown talent with the Cardinals. And he's one of the good stories, right? Number 2, just set a record for saves in a season for the Cardinals with 49, which also led all of Major League Baseball. I mean, he's awesome. Arguably the best closer in the game, along with Emmanuel Clase with Cleveland, who just got ripped in the playoffs. Something that just like, what? Detroit, Kerry Carpenter got him. And certainly Ryan Helsley, if he's not one of the top 2, he's certainly in the discussion of the top 5 closers in baseball, along with guys like Josh Hader and Edwin Diaz and so forth. Number 3, had the most dominating year of his career so far and was almost unhittable at the end in September and October. Had his other month of July was another month where it was like nobody could touch him. kind of nice to have that. And number 4, dependable lights out closers. They just don't grow on trees. It's not like everybody's just got one in their bullpen and it's no big deal. Go ask the Yankees fans how they feel about Clay Holmes this past season. It's not the easiest thing in the world to go find a guy that's as dependable and as good as Ryan Helsley has been for the St. Louis Cardinals, specifically this past season. Now, some reasons to trade him include the fact, and I know we're going to get a little nitpicky here, but this is just what they're going to be looking at. Some reasons why to keep him, why to get rid of him. Number one reason why to get rid of him, just turned 30. And if a 6-year deal is what he's worth and what he should get, like Spot Rack says, that might be a bit long for a guy who's 30 years old. That means you're going to be paying him until he's 36. Is that something you want to do with a closer? Number 2, the injury concerns are very real. Despite him getting through the year unscathed here in 2024, the Cardinals were smart. They limited him to 1 inning almost all year, and it worked. It absolutely worked. They said, you get the ball in the 9th inning. This is your role. But in the past, he has had forearm, elbow, shoulder, hand, and finger injuries over his career. And injuries don't normally become less frequent as a player gets older. They usually start to rev up a little bit. So something else to think about. Number 3, if $13.6 million is what he's worth, are you willing to pay that for a guy who only pitches when you're tied or winning? You're going to be doing this, what they're calling the reset. Is that something you want to put that much money towards during this reset that the Cardinals are embarking on, where you're not really expecting to win, 95 games a season, or you know what I mean? Like where you think you might be sitting around the 500 mark for maybe a year or two. Is an elite closer something that you should be paying that much money towards, or would that money be better used in other spots of your roster? And number 4, he is at the height of his worth right now. At this very moment, Ryan Helsley is worth more than he has ever been in a major league uniform. So if you're trading him, he's going to get you the most right now than he probably will if you wait, because you take the risk next year. If you hang on to him and say, okay, well, let's see what he's worth at the deadline this upcoming year and see what people will pay. Will somebody overpay? Well, what if he gets hurt next year? What if he doesn't have as dominating of a season? What if things go a little south? What if he regresses a little bit? These are all things you got to think about. So I don't think really there's a wrong answer here. I see both sides of the argument. There's something comforting about knowing that in the 9th inning that the 9th is taken care of. All right. There's nothing you got to worry about 90% of the time. Like he's going to get the job done. And it's nice because, that makes life easy for your manager and your team, that essentially you're playing an 8-inning game most nights against people. But if you feel you have guys in the organization that are closer material, then perhaps moving on from Helsley isn't as difficult as we think. Who are those guys? I'll be honest with you, I'm not totally sure. There's not somebody that I've seen in the minors where I'm like, dude, closer right there. I mean, there's been some guys who have had some successful seasons in the minors with some saves, but I mean, are we putting them anywhere close to what Ryan Helsley has been for the Cardinals? Of course not. Of course not. Ryan Helsley is an elite closer in Major League Baseball, and he's worth a decent chunk of change right now. But what could the Cardinals get in return? That's what people want to know. That's what people really want to know. If we decide, yes, we should trade Ryan Helsley, what's gonna come back to the Cardinals that's gonna make it worthwhile? A recent article from Michael Carpenter at RedbirdRanch.com did some digging, came up with a few packages. I want to walk you through and talk about those coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. For most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Luka Doncic or an Elly De La Cruz or a Patrick Mahomes rookie card, it just isn't in the cards, right? I love collecting, but that's some serious money to drop on a card. And not everybody's got those funds available. But thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Now, every card that was listed from last week's Arena Club slap pack drop Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value. Let's just be honest about it. It's a complete view of all possible cards and clear hit rates for each and every one. Now, Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency, which is, the memorabilia. Cards are picking up and people are loving this stuff again. I mean, I see people doing them. They just record videos and they're pulling live, and people are excited about this stuff. And after your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or even auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, it's fast, and transparent with a full grade rationale that provided with the explanation of how your card was scored. Now, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, trading, displaying, whatever it is you're doing, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you got to check out if you haven't done it already. Because right now you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB, code LockedOnMLB for 10% off your first purchase. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. You can leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Feedback always welcome and encouraged. We are going to be doing a fan feedback show here in the very near future, going through some of the things that you have thoughts on when it comes to trading players away. Who should we keep? Who should we not? What the rotation is going to look like, specifically Ryan Helsley, who we're talking about today. Once again, this is all just speculation. Nobody has a definitive answer on what someone would offer for Ryan Helsley yet, but he's certainly a trade chip that the Cardinals will have in their back pocket and look into cashing in on if they need to. And Michael Carpenter at RedbirdRants.com posted 4 different packages that could entice the team to move him. Said he went through notable trades for Aroldis Chapman, that like the trade that went to the Cubs a few years ago. The Josh Hader trade, Tanner Scott this year going to the Padres, to get an idea of what somebody of Ryan Helsley's worth would be out there on the market. So the write-up, I got it posted in the description for you guys for those who want to read the whole thing, because I'm not going to go into every single detail that Michael goes into. So I encourage you to read it for yourself. But we can browse through these real quick. I mentioned Clay Holmes earlier, 13 blown saves for the New York Yankees this year. They wish they had something better in the back of their bullpen, so it makes sense to just go ahead and start with them. So trade number 1 here for Ryan Helsley. The Yankees would offer up right-handed pitcher Bryce Cunningham, left-handed pitcher Griffin Herring, and outfielder Brandon Maya for Cardinals right-handed pitcher Ryan Helsley. Now, Michael has the Yankees sitting there number 9, 13, and 27th ranked prospects in exchange for Helsley. Bryce Cunningham was drafted in the second round of the 2024 draft. Fastball reaches 97, swing and miss changeup, a sweeping slider that is effective. He shows potential to be a number 2 or 3 starter and could be a fast riser through the minor league system, like Quinn Matthews has been for the Cardinals. Brando Maya, 19-year-old outfielder, signed out of the Dominican Republic in 2023. Quick swing from the right side, elite speed, 35 games in rookie ball last season, hit 281, 19 stolen bases. And then left-handed pitcher Griffin Herring, drafted in the 6th round of the 2024 draft out of LSU, was one of the most valuable pieces out of their bullpen for the Tigers. Devastating sweeper in his arsenal, but his fastball lacks velocity, topping out at 94 miles per hour. So my initial thoughts on this particular trade, I'd want someone a little closer to big league ready than a 19-year-old outfielder who's only known for his speed. That doesn't really sound like something I'm interested. I got a guy by the name of Victor Scott. I got a Michael Ciani who are ready to rock and roll in those roles already. But the other 2 guys obviously make a little sense. The pitching, you can never have enough pitching. We've learned that the hard way, have we not? Next up, trade-wise, from the Boston Red Sox, right-handed pitcher Luis Perales, right-handed pitcher Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, and third baseman, first baseman Blaze Jordan in exchange for Helsley. Michael says, I have the Red Sox sitting there number 9, 17, and 26th ranked prospects in this deal. The first piece would be Luis Perales. The 21-year-old right-hander is coming off Tommy John surgery and will likely miss most of the 2025 season. Before his injury, he was overpowering hitters with his mid-90s fastball that topped out at 99 miles per hour and a mid-80s slider, while he has lacked consistency with his secondary pitches and his changeup left much to be desired. He has mid-rotation upside if he can stay healthy or it could be the future replacement for Helsley himself at the back end of the Cardinals bullpen. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, another potential mid-rotation starter the Cards could target. Fastball sitting at 94-96, that tops out at 98. 21-year-old possesses 4 pitches, including a slider, curve, and newly developed splitter. 6'3", gets great extension on his pitches. If he can hone in his control, should be a solid piece for the Major League rotation in the future. Will likely start next season at Double-A, but could rise quickly if he shows improvement in his mechanics. Third and final piece of the deal, corner infielder Blaze Jordan. Great name, by the way. Raw power going back to his high school days where he won the high school home run derby at the 2019 All-Star Game. Has yet to fully tap into the power at the professional level. 18 home runs in 2023, but only 7 this past season after missing a significant chunk of games due to an injury. While he is likely to end up at first base due to his lack of range at third, he's still 21 years old and will have time to unlock his power as he moves through the minors. Now, talking about that deal, 2 injured guys and a Double-A pitcher who we think is going to be a Double-A pitcher. Yeah, good luck selling that to the fan base who already believes you suck at making trades already, and the fan base believes, and it's hard to disagree with it, you got hosed in the Tyler O'Neill deal where you've only got one guy left for it from the deal. Nick Robertson's with another organization now, and your other guy Santos is he's at AAA. Did not have a great year, so yeah, I don't know if that one's gonna fly so well with the fan base. So I'm not sure. I'm making a deal with the Red Sox for a little bit. I might take a step back from trading anything with Boston, despite Chaim Bloom knowing their organization very, very well. I might try to go elsewhere. Although they got a very good prospect pool. Their minor leagues, their organization, their prospect is considered one of the tops in baseball. So maybe a different package than what we're seeing there, because there's not a whole lot there where I'm like, woo, sounds good. All right, we're going to go over the final 2 offers from 2 teams who were currently in the MLB playoffs. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Cardinals. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. Explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about, whether it's places that I enjoy, like New York and Boston and Vegas, Miami, San Diego. Go to where some sunshine is, right? L.A., Nashville, Kansas City, just to name some of my personal favorites. They've got the hotels. They got the bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. It's all available on Booking.com. And you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rivals' cities. Like when the next year comes around, what are some of the cities you want to visit? What are some of the stadiums that you want to go to? With Booking.com's wide variety of choices across the U.S., you can go incognito to all of your baseball rival cities. Booking.com delivers exactly the right U.S. stay for you. They can help you book a stay that's close to your home teams or rival stadium. I mean, not everybody lives in St. Louis. Some people have to travel to St. Louis to watch the Cardinals at Busch. Plenty of nice places around the ballpark that Booking.com can get you into. They got the hotels that overlook the stadiums. They got family-friendly resorts, cute bed and breakfast stays. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rivals. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You know how you'll be watching a game and you kind of get a hunch, right? You pick up on something that you're like, ooh, I think I got to put some money on that. I'm feeling good about this particular thing happening. Then that is where FanDuel comes in, and they've made things very, very easy. That, like, right when you feel that urge coming on, where it's like, ooh, I got to put money down on this one, you can check out not only the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you're placing your bet. So if you're following along there, you don't have to skip around and try to find different pages to cash in on that hunch of yours. It's all right there, made very, very simple. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed, by the way, when you place your first $5 bet. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. You have the Fall Classics going on with Sully, who's got you covered each and every day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And it's not like the playoffs have not been exciting so far. And I know we wish our Cardinals were in it, but they are not. They are not. So we're talking about how we're going to fix this thing and get things going in the right direction and get prepared for 2025. I don't know if you're rooting for the Royals in the playoffs right now. I've got family that live there. Hello, Chris, Amber, Rylan, Henley, Drake. What's up? But the Royals, in my opinion, are kind of like our brothers from another mother. All right. They're just across the state in Kansas City. Nice little 4-hour drive from St. Louis. And they got it. Kauffman Stadium is a great place to visit if you've never gone there before. So in these playoffs, they're one of the teams that I am pulling for against the big bad Yankees. So it was nice to see them even things up last night. But that's the next team on this Helsley trade list that Michael Carpenter goes with. Here's the deal that he has for Helsley with the Royals. Left-handed pitcher David Shields, third baseman shortstop Austin Charles, and a right-handed pitcher LP Langevin. Starting the haul for the Royals would be an 18-year-old and David Shields, drafted in the second round of the 2024 MLB draft. He has a solid fastball that misses bats, should get better as he matures, an above-average slider, and a good feel for his changeup. He has all the tools to be a top-of-the-rotation arm and will be given all the time he needs to fulfill that potential. Second piece of the trade, third baseman shortstop Austin Charles, 6'5", 20 years old, might be the best athlete in the Royal system. Having a plus arm and untapped power at the plate, Charles hit 257, slashed 257, 353, 386 with 29 extra base hits and 36 stolen bases in 117 games at single A. Versatile defender, was moved to third base due to the Royals' depth at shortstop, but he could also transition to the outfield if needed. Finally, LP, and I think it's Langevin is how he pronounces it, fourth-round pick in the 2024 draft, finished third in NCAA D1 in strikeout rate at 15.2 per 9 innings. He possesses a plus fastball that hitters have trouble barreling thanks to his low arm slot. He's also got a solid slider and changeup that he uses to keep hitters off balance at the plate. Not a bad package right there. Again, I wish there was somebody that would be closer to Major League ready. Because all of these guys are a couple of years away, but hard to argue with what these guys have done in their careers. So that's an interesting one, that's for sure. His final trade idea comes from the Philadelphia Phillies. He's got outfielder Griffin Burkholder, third baseman Carson DiMartini, and left-handed pitcher Mavis Graves. Michael says the 19-year-old outfielder Griffin Burkholder is a second-round pick in the 2024 draft. Speed, defensive ability to be a center fielder in the major leagues with the ability to drive the ball. The right-handed bat is still tapping into his power, which could end up seeing him be a 20-plus home run hitter to go with his elite speed. Third baseman Carson DiMartini, another 2024 pick. 21-year-old has extra base hit power all over the field and has all the makings of a 20 to 25 home run hitter. Shortstop in high school, transition to third base at Virginia Tech, where he still has room to improve as a defender. But his main tool remains his power ability at the plate. Says DiMartini could end up being a pure DH at the major league level, but if he continues to hit, that shouldn't be a problem. And then he's got left-handed pitcher Mavis Graves. Final piece of the trade, 20 years old, has already had 2 minor league seasons under his belt after a disastrous showing at rookie ball in 2023. He followed that up with a much better season this year at single A, posted a 7-6 record with a 3.64 ERA, 1.35 whip, 117 strikeouts, and just 84 innings pitched. 6'6", 5-pitch arsenal, which includes a 4 and 2 seam fastball, curveball, changeup. His best pitch of the bunch is a hard cutter that has very high spin rate. So those are the deals. The theme in these is that you're getting what appears to be one of the top 10, not a top 5, but one of the top 10 prospects in each organization. Then there's a guy that's kind of in the teens, and then somebody in the mid to late 20s of their top 30 prospects on MLB pipeline. I would assume that any of those would be a decent haul for Ryan Helsley. Again, I would love to see some kind of impact that would help out for the major league roster right away, outside of just a bunch of 19, 20, and 21-year-olds where, and I know it's a reset, but this is not a rebuild where we're trying to figure out what things are going to be in 5 years. We're trying to figure out what it's going to be in the next 2. Is at least in my eyes is the way things are going. So I would hope to get somebody that might have some impact on the major league roster this year or maybe next year at the latest. Obviously getting good prospects, second round picks and stuff like that in exchange for Ryan Helsley. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but personally, I would hope to get somebody that could also help out immediately with what the Cardinals are trying to do now. My personal favorite deal, I think, out of these 4 would kind of the Royals one entices me. Then you got the Phillies, then the Yankees, and then the Red Sox. I don't like injured dudes. I'm not trying to go after some people who are hurt and might be out with Tommy John. I'm not trying to do that. I would hate to move Helsley first and foremost to another one of these big market squads. I don't want to give them more ammunition, So if you could send them to the Royals, cool. That I would feel better about that. And if the Royals do well in these playoffs, if they come up with this upset against the Yankees in this series, maybe they decide that, hey, we're in this win now window with Salvador Perez not getting any younger. We should maybe pull the trigger on getting that, lockdown closer at the back end of the bullpen. Maybe that's something that we absolutely need. Let's go all in and try to get this done. And if the Cardinals could get what Michael brings up there, which is their 7th, 14th, and 24th ranked prospects, I do love the fact that one guy is just a massive athlete, which, you figured out some of these teams like the Padres right now. What did they do? They went out and got a bunch of shortstops. Remember? They got a bunch of shortstops and they're like, why are they loading up on that? Well, because they're usually the best athletes on your team. And you can put them anywhere. They can learn different positions. And it's worked out nicely for them. Maybe that's something the Cardinals look into because Mason Wynn isn't going anywhere at shortstop. But if you find athletes like, how Fernando Tatis Jr. has turned into a right fielder, even though he was a shortstop. If you can, I'm not saying that kid's the next Fernando Tatis Jr., but when you've got athletes like that, they become, the word is versatile, right? And you can move them around the diamond and, they can help you out in a number of different ways. We know how the Cardinals love to have guys like Tommy Edman was and how Brendan Donovan is, where they can play multiple positions, which is, it's nice to have that kind of person on your roster. So it'd be tough to not pull the trigger for that Royals deal to me. Both of those pitchers sound like they got a lot of upside, even though none of them are projected to reach the major leagues until earliest 2026. That would be the one that personally I would like the most. But I would also check in with a team like the Orioles who had their issues. They went out and got Craig Kimbrell this past year, and that didn't work. So they're still looking for a closer, and they might be getting desperate because they keep having issues in the playoffs, right? And they're not getting to where they feel like they should be. And maybe they're like, well, we're kind of one piece away. Maybe they'll throw a bag at you for Brian Helsley and can get you not only some prospects, but also some guys maybe that are ready to make an impact at the major league level. So I would check in with them as well. So what are your thoughts on these deals? How would you rank them? Which one is your favorite? Tell me why. And be sure to click the link to visit Michael's write-up about this at redbirdranch.com and show our friends some love there. Great website, a lot of fun to go through and hear people's opinions and stuff. So they break it down quite nicely. And they're really good about building trades and stuff like that, like coming up with ideas. And then, you get to play GM and go, do I like that? Do I dislike it? It's a cool website. So check it out for yourself. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter X at LO_Cardinals. Of course, the JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. Good luck to the Blues today. All right, the St. Louis Blues. NHL hockey season, at least the North America side of it, has begun. I know there were some games in Prague, but the Blues get started early game in the afternoon. So root for you guys. Hope it's good. Go check out Locked On Blues, which is obviously our girl over there doing her thing. We should support your Cardinals and support your St. Louis Blues. St. Louis teams, we root for each other. So go check her out if you get a chance. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. And we will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.